Hey, hello. I wanted to give a quick intro before I start the show with Jay and April. We recorded earlier this morning, and there were some things that just didn't vibe with me, completely vibe. So I wanted to sit with those a little bit, and I figured out what all of that was for me. So I want to begin the show with this before we move into it. April and Jay have very strong personalities, which I am so appreciative of that because several guests on the show have had that. And it helps give me such clarity in terms of who I am and what I believe as well. So I'm so grateful for that. April talks in the beginning about using discernment. And I've expressed that in terms of any guests that I have. If something resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Because anyone that I have on the show, we are all wanting or desiring to move or are moving towards this greater energetic being. So that we all have in common. Some of the ways to get there might differ a little bit, and that's okay, because we should all have differing opinions and no one should be censored and that sort of thing. Okay, one thing I wanted to bring up was I belittled myself in here in talking about specifically the train wreck in Ohio. Like, that was my moment of clarity, where it's almost like it's hard to describe. Like I knew and am in the higher vibration, yet it allowed me to step into it even more. So it's not that I couldn't be there before or I was less than before. I needed to be a part of all of this and to go to the house where I saw this evil and to explore some of the evil things that have been happening and to accept that and find the truth in it, and to find the truth that on some level I also caused these things. So for me to be able to move forward, I had to sit and really digest all of this in. So to belittle myself, to say, well, why couldn't I have been here earlier? Okay, that's all a bunch of bull. I hope that makes sense. The second piece I want to contribute is, I do believe, and I want to state this, that a whole bunch of our financial institutions are going to crumble and revamp because it's necessary, because so much of these were created out of deceit, out of lies, out of slavery, out of falsehood, out of control. So to move past all of this, we have to move past all of that. So I do believe there is going to be crumbling, restructuring, recreation of all of these big things, including our finances, including education, including Western medicine, and how law is done, all of it. Now, it also feel it is determinant on us in terms of our free will, in terms of how hectic that's going to be, if it's going to be a smoother transition or a bumpy one. And it's a little bumpy right now. Yet if we are going to, and we are moving towards the heart, somehow it's all going to be okay. I think I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, on with the show. This is it. Let's do a couple. And then, as everybody knows on the show, I do a little bit of getting ready. And then I ask folks, what would you do, Jay and April? If I did this, what would you do?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to do this and y'all do that.
Right. It'll be a balancing out, right?
Yes, it will be. Ooh, okay. Eden, just be spiritual, boom. Okay, and to quote from Jay, we are going to vibrate it out. Y'all ready, listeners and viewers? Okay, April and Jay, y'all please say hi. Welcome.
How are you? How's everybody? Thank you so thanks for bringing us into your world.
Thanks for coming into my world. All right, let me go ahead and give a heads up about what we're going to talk today. So, Spiritually Raw, the Ass Whipping Truth, spiritual broadcasters that have been married for over or about 21 years. And we're going to talk about their relationship, if they don't mind, as so many of my clients and myself in this great awakening period of time are coming up against the truth of vibrations in terms of a coupleship, narcissism, relationships are ending. So I want to hear about a beautiful spiritual one, especially when you're working together, which is so nice. I think we're also going to talk about manifestation creation today. Because they know a lot about that. And I want to talk to you guys about your great awakening spiritual journey. And I didn't ask before we got on, y'all were on the Truth Tour, weren't you?
We are not on the virtual, one of the virtual ones.
One of the virtual ones. Okay. Okay. So we are in March 2023, and now is a really great time because vibrations are really up in terms of spiritual hygiene, spiritual cleansing, and in terms of manifesting, creating whatever you're thinking about, the good or the bad, it's going to come up. So we're going to talk about that today. All right, let me see. All right, here's what I'm going to talk about too. So Meditation Simplified, I'm doing a class in April, which was going to be this month, but I've shifted a little bit. I didn't think I was going to be doing an intro level meditation class again, yet because of the Great Awakening. And I believe that meditation and grounding is so key through all of this. So I'm opening it up, Zoom class as well. Okay. And let's go ahead and get to you guys. I became aware. So I've been doing spiritual work for about 20 years, became aware of the Great Awakening right before the lockdowns happened. So at that time, it was challenging to find spiritual oriented stuff about what was going on versus, oh, this is horrible. And knowing that all of this is super and it's, because of it, there's going to be a lot of duality and a lot of chaos as well. So I got on Telegram, and Jay and April's spiritual ass whipping on Telegram was one of the first ones that I found, which was so nice because there's so many more right now, which is great because so many people are like, finding this to be encouraging and really great. So I have known about you guys for 3 years at least. So I'm so glad to have you here. All right, April and Jay Matta. Did I say that correctly? Okay, and y'all are in Florida right now.
Sure.
Sunny Florida.
Okay. Married and business partners for almost 21 years, which I stated. Interviewed, okay, get this, around 2,400 people from the globe and are well versed in all things spiritual. To put that in perspective, I've interviewed about 30 at this point.
Okay.
Huh? What'd you say?
You have to start somewhere.
Okay, exactly.
He always says you don't have to be great to start. You just have to start to be great.
You just have to start. I love that. They are spiritual entrepreneurs, host of SpirituallyRAW, the Ass Whipping Truth, founder of GnosticTV, which is ancient wisdom reimagined. As we said, we're a part of the Truth Tour, Zoom-wise. I first want to ask you guys, tell me about one of your most fascinating guests.
That's a tough one because there's been so many. And
Yes.
I can't really say to single out any one of them would just not even be fair because there's been just such a wide range of topics and a wide range of guests. I mean, we've had everything on from walk-ins to someone, reincarnations, or they believe they're incarnations of a certain being or so forth and so on, to parents that have lost their children and how to learn how to deal with grief. So because it's such a wide paintbrush, there's just been so many. It's probably like well over 24, probably pushing close to like 2,600 people at this point that we've interviewed. And we've learned so much from each and every one of them, which is why we originally started the show, to get our personal questions answered. So I honestly can't say any particular one. They've all contributed to this collective consciousness.
Beautifully put. Well, how about, let me ask this question. Have there been one or two people that totally, it was one of those just eye-opening total shift in mindset that this person brought to you guys? And knowing that's been continuous, was there one that you were just like, oh my gosh, my perceptions have really just changed?
I would have to say Gene Decode. From when we first started interviewing, we've done, I don't even know how many interviews with Gene, probably well over 20 at least.
Okay.
It was really in the height. A lot of them were in the height of the 2019, 2021, 2020, all that whole run there where everybody was just being, you know, emotionally torn apart, fed all this information, learning about stuff we never heard about, everything from, you know, the adrenochrome to, we all had the greatest civics classes and courses that we could ever ask for. And it really cracked open a nut that we had not tapped into before. And it was really very, very eye-opening on a lot of different levels, you know, between the dumbs and the children and the this and the that. I mean, everybody's interpretation of it is totally different. So, but I would say for me personally, that was really the start of going down the rabbit hole.
Okay. And tell me who, Gene? That's someone that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, Gene Decode. He's pretty well known. He's actually very well known in the truther world. But yeah, it was very eye-opening information for, I would say, all of us.
So speaking of the Great Awakening, so are y'all the same with me that I was very spiritually oriented, yet I didn't know the depth of everything until more recently. Did y'all always have a hint that there was something kind of off, or then, oh my gosh, down into the rabbit hole even more? So what was your process?
I mean, I think there's always something off. I think just because of the internet, we're just always more aware of it now. You know what I mean? And things like that. I don't think really anything other than the fact that media is more prevalent. I believe there's energies that are shifting for sure, that are awakening some people and some people not. But I just think, you know, we just go on the journey of it. We just, you know, I think the biggest thing we can do is to just go on the ride of this thing. I mean, I think when we start to overanalyze, overthink it, and you know, I mean, reality, look, nobody knows why we're here. We're just here, and let's, you know, we can speculate. Speculation keeps us in a job, you know, we get to do this, but I mean, that's all. We don't have anything tangible or real to really base on. We just have just thoughts and
different opinions, different philosophies.
That's all it is. And I think if we look at this like how we look at it, entertainment purposes only. And that's it. If it shows up, great. If these things happen, great. If they don't, whatever. In entertainment purposes, live fun, live hard, live fast, and enjoy the hell out of life, however long we're here.
Because I emailed you guys too that excuse me, that apparently, you know, Trump might be arrested today. So there was a lot of talk about that and what's going to happen, and pull your money out of the banks. And you guys had said, well, see if that's going to happen. And then some of my friends also said that there potentially is a Trump clone, if you want to call it that, that's representing the dark side. Potentially, if you pull your money out of the banks, that the government is going to be watching. So it's just like you said, okay, well, what's going to happen next? What's going to be thrown out there? How can I be discerning about this? How can I be grounded through all of this too, knowing that who knows what's going to happen, and connecting to, like I heard a recent broadcast of you guys too, that this is one of the most spectacular moments to be alive right now. So if we can embrace and start moving into that too, and really get wound up on the energy that's there. Oh my gosh, the exciting things that can happen. Are y'all both from Florida originally?
No, I grew up in Pennsylvania.
You did? Where?
Right outside of Philadelphia, Havertown, the suburb.
All right, Jay, what about you?
Well, I'm from England originally, and then immigrated here pretty early on. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, pretty early on, because you do not have an accent, do you? Okay, what part of England?
Liverpool.
No kidding. All right, how did y'all meet?
First, I want to go back and answer the first thing that we talked about, and then I'm going to get to.
Yes, please.
Okay, so actually, what I said in your email was, "Don't hold your breath."
Yes, you did. Yes.
The reason why I said that was because how many times have you heard stories before?
Oh yeah, a lot.
I mean, actually, probably a more pertinent question would be, how many stories have you heard that anything has actually come to fruition, right? So let's put all that into perspective first of all, because really that's why we're here. We're trying to discern information. if I had to pick the most important word for anyone to ever understand and use in our day and age, it would be discernment. You have to have your discernment meter so tight because there's so much shit flying around everywhere. And there's a big misconception that fake news is only the mainstream media. Let's be very crystal clear. Fake news comes in every form of media, including social media. Just because somebody is talking about something off the mainstream media does not give them the, do you know this person? Do you know anything about them? Has anything that they've ever said before come to fruition? So if you want to ask yourself, how do I tighten up my discernment meter? Ask yourself very, very simple questions. Number one, does this information that you are retaining and listening to, does it even make logical sense? That's numero uno. If you get an immediate, no, it sounds like bullshit, there's your answer. That's your bullshit meter right there. Does the information you are listening to make logical sense? It's a simple yes or no. If it does, great, because everybody has a different meter, right? But the whole key to it is you want to tighten that discernment meter up so tight, because here's what's happening, Eden. People are getting this information and then they put their life on hold.
Yeah.
Because there's something that's happening. It's the great flash that's coming. That's gonna, it's this magic energetic wand that's gonna come take everybody out of 3D and swoosh them off into 5D without doing anything in between. That is okay.
Right.
That's one. And then how many times have you heard about this, the Nasara and the Gasara, where all of your debts that you've ever accumulated in your entire life is going to magically be vanished away. So don't worry about it. Spend as much as you want now because it's all going to get erased. Does that make logical sense? Not in my book. Now, I've seen parts of Nasara and Gasara, like, for example, where government student loans have been wiped away. That makes sense because it's a government student loan. Okay, I could see that. Or if it comes from the military, that makes sense. But what in your mind is thinking that you can run your credit cards up, all of your personal debt through the roof, and then this government of ours is going to take care of it and just swoosh, wipe it all away, magically gone? Where's the logic in any of that?
Right.
So you just have to step back and really think about what you're hearing, and then step back for a second and then think about it and start to discern it by piece by piece by piece by piece. And then what starts making logical sense to you, learn more about that. What is not making logical sense, throw it in the trash can where it belongs. Right?
Yeah. Jay, you agree with that? Looks like, yeah.
I mean, I listen, I just think that it's just a shame to watch this stuff play out, because we've interviewed a lot of people, and believe me, when we started interviewing a lot on this, we looked very neutrally, very objectively, even fell down the rabbit hole often. Got excited about it too, but then we were able to pull ourselves back out and say, wait a minute, you know what? Just because, like what you're saying, just because it's the fake news is, I don't know if, okay, here's the thing. So I think more so that mainstream media is withholding news, and I think the internet is fake news. So I think people need to look at it that way. As it just does stuff. You have to look at it for entertainment purposes only. I think that's how we look at it, because this way you don't take it so seriously. You can't take it seriously. You can't get emotionally attached to it. You have to realize that this stuff is just someone very well made this shit up. They took a little bit of truth and just exaggerated and made it up. And next thing you know, they've got a following, you've got a following, whatever. Everybody's got a following about it. If what we're finding out, and look, we live this stuff. We feel very blessed to live in a world that's, you know, mind, body, spirit, prosperity seems to be connected well for us. But we live it in a way where we just appreciate where we're at, meaning that We don't look at 3D as a negative thing or 5D. We don't look at news as like, oh, this is going to get worse. No, we don't. We look at it as like, hey, we got put down on this earth. And if we don't embellish, okay, this is what we've learned. Okay.
Yes.
I think so. Different story. That's for me is that, if we don't cherish and embrace where we're at, then I don't think we're gonna elevate, is what I'm saying. So
Yep.
if we think, oh, this shit sucks, wait till we get to 5D. I don't think that person or that energy is going to 5D or the concept of what they perceive as a 5D, because they're not experiencing. It's like a video game. You got to master one level before you go to another level.
Yes.
You know, and if you can't master this level and really do what you got to do to collect all the tokens, food, water, money, whatever it is you want, then you go to then you level up.
And the whole thing is, these are levels of consciousness, right? So it's not like it's a place, it's a level of consciousness. You're raising your frequency, you're raising your level of consciousness. And there's only one way to do that. You have to go within and fix your own shit, right?
Exactly. Yes.
When you start to fix yourself, then you start creating the life that you really want. So, people ask us, if you were to ask me, what is the most important thing in my life? It's my happiness. Because when you're happy, you're healthy. And when you're happy and healthy, you create abundance. And when you're happy and you're healthy, you have a abundant life in all aspects of your life. So you have to start doing things every single solitary day that are going to bring you joy and happiness in your life. That's really the key. And it's so simplistic. Everybody just wants to convolute it with all this chatter, all of this outside chitter chatter, that the majority of it is not relevant to your life. And that's the other thing we talked about earlier, about how do you tighten up this discernment meter. Ask yourself, is the information that you're receiving relevant to your life? And let me give you a quick example. We were all alive and well during the Obama decade, right? Didn't say, I'm not saying I liked his agenda. I'm not saying I liked his philosophy. I'm not saying I liked anything about it. So don't misunderstand me. What I am saying is this. Looking back, that he was the worst president in the history of our lifetime that I can remember.
I think this guy is now.
Well, besides that, right now, a longer time frame, right? Or even taking Biden, let's use that as current. How is that person affecting your life personally? Is he affecting your health? Is it affecting your ability to create happiness in your life? Is it affecting your ability to create your reality? If you've answered yes to all of that, you need to really reevaluate what is going on in your own life, that you're allowing someone else or something else to control your life.
Yep. Again, something outside of you controlling you.
Right. You're allowing it. You're allowing someone else or something else to control your life. That's a problem that you need to fix.
And it was really, as you're talking about this, the pivotal point for me, not that I was all into it, because I always tried to remain balanced. There was a part of me that needed to see the contrast, because I also talk about, I clear houses as well. So when I did one, the evilness was right in my face like I've never seen before. So, and that was pivotal for me to realize the battle, the significant battle that's going on. Yet the train wreck in East Palestine, that was the moment, because I'm right near it, an hour and 10 minutes away. And that really, I got to the point where it's time to really release some of this fear-based, some of these fear-based issues, and knowing that there are things going on around it and not knowing what's true and what's not. Yet, who am I going to be at this moment? What am I going to focus on? So that was kind of a pivotal moment for me to really start stepping into the newness. And that was a couple, 2 months ago or whatever. So it's funny to even, I guess, admit that, that I'm a very spiritual person and really, into vibration and all that. But that was the moment for me that I'm like, no more. I'm still going to notice these things because I'm human and I want to know what people are feeling or what's going on. Yet it's just a different level. So I really appreciate having you guys here today to basically reaffirm that for me and hopefully affirm that for others as well, because there's so much that we can just get, because there is, oh my gosh, like every week I still learn something new. And so it's just at this point, oh, okay, there's something else. Whoa, look at that. All right, so what am I going to do today? Who am I going to be?
Well, if people can look at life and, if we can lend any value to your audience and people watching this, I mean, is that if people can look at life as that it's you, it's really is. And the minute it's not you is, like you said, there's a problem. Because it's you got to get, because it's interesting over the last couple of years, like we the Great Awakening is a concept or theory, if you would, it's just evolving, right? So we've met some pretty amazing people, and that are just there. I mean, they feel, you look at them and you're like, oh, these people have mastered the game of life, from all aspects of it. One of the common denominators we see with them, like if you talk about stuff like Great Awakening, Nisar and Jasar and all these concepts, right? You know what their response is? What the hell is that? Like, what are you even talking about? Like, what does that even mean to me? So they don't.
That's so neat.
Not that they're naive to it. They just don't get caught. What we saw was, like, as we started to meet a lot of these people more and more and more, and they just didn't like it. They don't,
outside of the truth or communities.
Right. They don't even, and they're mastering. I mean, they're living life. They don't see the darkness in things. They see the beauty in everything. They have wealth, they have health, they have everything, but they don't see that, and they don't care to see it. They don't really give a shit about it.
It's not in their frequency.
But they are so giving. They're so not only their resources of everything, like, so it's like they don't get caught up. So as you look at these things, and look, I mean, it's very pragmatically speaking, it's very easy for people to get caught up in the trap. And I think I don't look at the concept of like dark and evil or anything like that, or like black hat or white hat. I just think that there's people, and we're all come here to this planet with the same set of rules, and some people do good with it, some people don't do good with it. And that's as simple as that. I don't think it is like there's a whole dark agenda, the darks won, the lights won, none of that crap. It's just some people are just better at the game, but they were given the same tools and they just decided to do just shitty stuff with it. That's all it is. I don't think there's a whole movement of like all the lights, like how you say, like the lights won or whatever, like that. This doesn't even, no, there's not. I mean, there's light and there's dark, and there always will be.
Well, what have they won?
Yeah, what have they won?
And or on the flip side, the dark has lost. How many times have you heard that? Lost what? What do you think they've lost?
I mean, we're still watching TV, we're still going to the banking system, we're still going to the grocery, we're still shopping at these Amazons, we're still shopping, buying, eating, breathing, everything that everybody says has been defeated. I don't where, show me where. And who cares? Again, I believe it's this way. If you look at it, instead of getting caught up and angry about it, just look at it and say, like, okay, we all came here, we all got downloaded with a set of rules, a set of lines, and a set of things that we could access. However, call them dark, whatever you want to call them, however they were able to do better with it or accumulate more out of it, let's just figure out what the hell they do and do good with it. It just should be as simple as that. It shouldn't be like, we want. No, you haven't. You're sitting in a room, you're chanting here, and there's a bunch of you happening, and nobody's doing nothing, and then you get frustrated, and then you do it again, and meanwhile, you get upset, and you keep calling them dark because they're making more and more money because they're just doing what they're doing. They're like, all right, well, you guys just run it out. You know what I mean? And I think if we can look at it and learn from the people is all we have to do, instead of just being angry. Like I say, like, we've lost a couple 100,000 people on social media for censorship and stuff like that. So we could look at it a couple of ways, like, oh, that really sucks and that's horrible, which we did. Or we also looked at it from the standpoint of, at the end of the day, like, you know what, at the end of the day, that's a privately held business. And
they can do what
while
they want.
it sucks, It's their right to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We're not going to fight that battle. I mean, it's a privately held business. The government allowed that behavior to happen. So are we going to win that battle? Absolutely not. Are we showing that we're winning that battle? Absolutely not. Okay. There's no YouTube going down. There's no Twitter going up or down. There's none of that. I mean, look at this. I mean, come on. You think
all of the banking system, all
right
across the globe is
It's
going to collapse?
fine.
Just think about that.
Everything's fine. It really is. Just enjoy it and embrace it.
Now, are some banks starting to collapse? Yes. Are all of the banks in all of the world throughout the entire globe going to come crumbling down? No. Think about the catastrophe, the global catastrophe that would cause. It's beyond comprehension. It does that make logical sense? No, it does not. There's something seriously wrong within that statement that all of the banking system and the entire stratosphere is going to come crumbling down. That's Looney Tunes.
You know,
that is absolutely Looney Tunes.
So here's what I do believe, though. I believe that there, and I'm experiencing this. So this is the kind of like, you know, strangely unique for me to really experience because I've always heard from people like, you know, we'll be cohabitating with people that are living in a 3D concept and a 5D concept, but they'll be living together. You just won't see them. And I think that's true. That I feel like I do believe that's true. I believe that there are people that see things in I'll define as a 3D just for the sake of conversation, but that level of consciousness, and they don't see it. They just don't see it. They're blinded and they keep hitting a ball and they keep hitting. It's like bumper cars, like boom, boom, boom. Right. You know what I mean? And there's people that hit a 5D and they just go. And I think we cohabitate with each other, just like we cohabitate with our animals. It's just different species are starting to break out now. And I believe that I can say that I feel like that is a real phenomenon. I'm kind of witnessing.
Here's something too, if you think about that. How's it ever different than anything we've ever lived through? We've always lived like that, but we were never aware. And now all of a sudden we can put a title to it. Oh, they're living in a 3D reality. We're living in a 5D reality. But the reality is we've always lived and cohabitated within the same format. But now we can have a title to call it something different. Well,
so the better question, though, is always this. Now, this is the one interview I would love to have, is who was able to come up with the number? Like, who able to call it 3D and 5D? That's really what I want to know. Forget about what. How did you call it 3D and 5D? Like, who came up with the title, right?
Or no, here's a better one we hear all the time. Percentages.
It's 37.9%. You're like, okay.
Of the world now has awakened to the great awakening. How the heck, where in God's name did you get these numbers from?
Oh gosh, I think, is it David Hawkins that has a chart of consciousness? So there is a vibrational energy level that you can measure within people. So he has a stratosphere that's set up. It's really great. And
that across the entire globe of every single solitary person. There is something referred to as the frequency of the world. It's the
resonance?
Human resonance frequency.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Okay, I get that. That makes logical sense. But to do that from a personal point of view is utterly impossible and illogical. It's impossible to do that. How are you going to do that? It doesn't make, there you go. Does it make logical sense? No, it does not make logical sense.
Video game, entertainment purposes only.
Yes.
Oh my God. Hey, do y'all mind switching to how y'all met?
Do your thing, whatever you want to switch to.
Okay, tell me about that. And I love spiritually working together. Okay, so I got divorced about 2.5 years ago. And I've been on one date. So part of my job for myself right now is really learning to love myself. So when I do create this next relationship, that I have worked through all of my garbage. And I desire, I'll put it out there right now, I am excited about having someone in my life who totally resonates with this as well. Because my former husband, we did not at all. Like, he was on his one path, I was on mine completely separately. So how did y'all meet? It's beautiful that you're doing this spiritual work together. Tell me more, please. And for all of my clients too. Talk, y'all.
So I'll make a long story very short.
Oh,
our background is financial services.
Okay.
So we actually met, we live in Texas and we live in Florida and we lived in Florida, but 3 hours away, I didn't know him. And we both flew to Texas to an insurance convention for a company that we were both utilizing, and we met in Texas on an insurance convention. And, you know, it was everything, but you know, it was very corny on the outside. It's everything, you know, like, you're like, oh my God, you look at them and they look at you. And then all of a sudden you're like, I've seen you before. I know you. So it was like, just like that. And, we've been together ever since. And, we went into business together right away because we were already in the same business at that time, which was financial services. We just lived 3 hours away. So we went into business immediately. We hit it off obviously right away, went into business right away, moved in virtually right away within a few months. And we have been together pretty much every day of our lives since almost the beginning.
Every day.
Yeah.
So did y'all have other relationships before, or was this the first?
Yes.
No, we definitely did.
Jay was really just getting out of a divorce.
Okay.
He's actually not just getting out of a divorce. He was just in the separation part of and then so we had to go through all of that to get the, you know what I mean? So it was in the beginning, he wasn't, you know, so that was like a long thing. And I was just coming out of a serious relationship as well. But here's the thing, Eden.
Woo.
I'll think for a second. Like, we now make it look like it's very seamless and very, very easy because it's been 20 years, okay? But let's be very clear. There's been a lot of work to get to this point.
Oh, yeah.
Tremendous, tremendous, tremendous amount of work. I mean, you go through the highs, the lows, every type of emotion that you could possibly think of. You know, I love you, I hate you. You did this, it's your fault. Sure. I mean, everything you could possibly imagine. And if you really unconditionally love the person you're with, you'll make it work. Now, the key word in that is unconditionally. And that takes a long time to understand that because we put conditions on our relationships in a multitude of a spectrum of different reasons and issues, right? But when you really learn to love, that you really truly, or come to Jesus, that you are like, I really truly unconditionally love this human, you'll find a way to make it work. Good, bad, ugly.
Okay, so I know, Jay, on one show that I watched too, you talked about y'all working together being a form of therapy. What put y'all together? So you were on a financial path. What drew you or pushed you, I don't know if that's a word, into a spiritual path?
I think we were awoke enough to realize we met as business professionals, right? So
Yeah.
we kind of got that thing together in a similar profession. April had her own business. I had my own business. We were both making money outside of each other. I think she was making more than me. And it was, we got that kind of instinct as like, okay, we're going into business. So we were able to start with, you know, not like, hey, let's try this thing out together and try to see if we can make things work. We went into critical thinking. We were able to take a look at, you know, different facets of our life and working together. The spiritual side of it, I think for us is like, you know, we just, you know, we were able to see different things. Like we were able to see things manifest. We would talk them out. So when we were together, we would be able to talk things out. And as we were talking, we were literally speaking things into manifestation. So it was kind of like, holy shit, there's some cool stuff going on here, right? So we were able to feel like, okay, we're on to something. You know, we're on to some sort of energy that seems to work between us, that seems to create some really cool shit, right? So for us, we were able to get enough evidence of that to go on the journey. So we had our business, we were making really good money at it, and you know, just a great lifestyle. So we were like, okay, well, all right, well, I don't know if we want to just always be selling insurance or money lending at always forever, right? So I don't know if that's life. So we decided to sell it. We sold it super quickly. We, when you're out of a job, which is what we were, because we sold it quickly, and we're like, what are we going to do now? And we didn't really understand another trade, and we didn't really understand the internet because we were never.
It's just really when social
Yeah.
media, it was 2007.
Yeah.
When 2008, when social media was just starting to come into the forefront. And
yeah,
we didn't know anything internet wise. All we really knew was a program that you have with a floppy disk, and you put it on and it spits out, what you need.
Right.
Yeah.
We had zero social media experience. We had zero broadcast experience. I personally hated ever being on camera. I would literally run from a camera. So this was so foreign to us. And we thought, geez, why don't we just start a radio show?
Yeah.
We didn't think about it. We had no idea how to go about it. We didn't know anybody in it. It was totally like, I don't even know why we even came up with this idea, but we did. And then we kind of reverse and engineered it. We had the idea, which was crazy to us because we had no experience. But then we thought, well, okay, what are we going to talk about? Because we are not experts in anything other than financial services, and that's pretty boring.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Well, we're not experts in anything. What are we going to talk about? We thought, well, we'll just interview experts and start asking a bunch of questions of things that we want to know the answers to. And then we thought, well, okay, that would be something spiritual. Okay, well, now let's come up with a name. And then actually, Jay, it came to him and he's like, what about Spiritually Raw? Yes, that's perfect. And then I had a tagline, which was the ass whipping truth. And we just started reverse engineering. Okay, well, who are we going to interview? Where are we going to do it? What are we going to ask? What, and so forth and so on. And next thing you know, we had a show. And this was in 2008 is when we first launched Spiritually Raw. It took us a couple months and a lot of money with a lot of mistakes that we corrected quickly because, we were spending, the money was just going down the drain, right? So either we had to figure out how to make this work or, something's going to, this is just not going to work. So we figured it out very quickly. And the show took off. Once we got through the hump, the show literally just exploded.
Wow.
We interviewed, we were literally moving at Mach speed. We were interviewing 12 to 15 people a week. And we did that for 18 months, which was over 1,200 people. So we condensed the learning curve and we learned a lot of information in a short period of time. And we were monetizing the show. This was long before YouTube had monetization. This was back in the days when you monetized the show by advertising. You were selling pieces of advertising. So everybody wanted to know how we were making money. So we started telling people, and then we thought, well, why are we just telling people? Why don't we just start a business and start a consulting business? And that's what we did. And then the consulting business got so busy that we were not able to run the show anymore because it was monopolizing our time. So we stopped the show after 18 months, and then we consulted for like the next 6 years. And then 2018, 2019 is when I said, you know what, I want to do the show again. And Jay was totally against it. He didn't want to do it at all. He was dead. It took me like 6 months to convince him. And then when finally he
forced me, it wasn't.
Yeah, did she twist your arm? What did she do?
It was 100%. It was not even, there was no convincing.
Right. It was either I'm going to do the show so she shuts up and gets off my back, or this is just never going to end. So we relaunched the show, and, all in divine timing, it just 2018, 2019 was when everything started rolling, and we just happened to come in at the right time.
I think that, I think where you maybe want, like for your people, as far as a couple and things like that. All right, so like any advice or kind of theories we can give them. So I think that what people can find something that they can do, and I'm not talking about a hobby, but I think if they can, because what you see is this in life, you see, all right, well, you have a couple, everything starts off with good intentions, right? It always does. So you have a couple, one wants to work one day, one goes to work the other way, and then they regroup again about 8 to 10 hours later, and that's it. And then they hit a reset button and gets to it again. So that's not life. I think what gives us 20 years later, even through the ups and downs and the highs and lows and everything, the continuous passion, and is that we conquest together. You know what I mean? So we go out in the conquest, we go out in the world together, we get out there, we get in the battlefield together.
We enjoy it.
Yeah, we smell the roses together. We even though, like I said, we want to kill each other sometimes, we really do, but it's like but it's like what we still, when we get those victories, we get them together. It's like, so it's not like me coming back and be like, hey, I did really good, and April saying, oh, that's nice, I'm so proud of you, honey. It's not like that. She's like, fuck, we did it. You know what I mean? It's like we get that emotion together. And there's a thrill to that keeps the spark. I think, right? I don't know. There's a thrill of that in and of itself that you get the experience. So I think if you,
which is also why even in the darkest of our personal times, the business was never leaving, because we were always such incredible business partners together. And that always was the ultimate, like, you know, are you gonna find anybody better than me? Are you gonna find anybody better than me?
Yeah, what are you thinking? Where are you going to go out and, I mean, this is it. We're the bomb. I'm the bomb. We're the bomb together. What else can you create?
That's the thing, and that's where I think that we were able to be like, that's what, like you said, like when the darkest of times, where it's like, I gotta go. She's like, I gotta go. It's like, and we look at him like, oh shit, man, we
got a business.
We are so good on the business side together. I mean, we're magical when it comes to business. I mean, we get shit done. You know what I mean? And we know where to do it. And that we knew, like, okay, that's our it factor right there. Now, if we can learn to play nice, you know what I mean? Let's figure out that piece. And that's 20 years. I mean,
that took 20 years to really master.
You know.
All right. So along with that, and Jay, you just gave a really nice piece of advice. I feel like there's one more to reel in from you guys. Yeah, I'm just going to put it that simply. In terms of relationship, and because I also like the, you know, when y'all get heated with each other, that's also passion. Because if you weren't heated with each other, it would be so boring. And so a part of that is really great too. And it's not just this fighting, and I don't like, well, maybe there are times I don't like you very much. So what else, for someone who is searching, or not searching, who is desiring a complete connection, and part of it is finding completeness within yourself. So it's not looking for someone else. You're going to complete me. You're going to be my better half or whatever. That you are good with you, and then to find someone that is just delightful and just makes you even feel better about things. Is there anything y'all could add to that? Maybe I'll say it that way.
That if you can, well, the spiritual component's critical. You have to be spiritually aligned, whether that be your religiously, whatever your faith, you have to be in the same tandem, and you got to live it together, because there's a look. I think this is all consciousness, right? I mean, we're all from some sort of concept of God, and I think that, you know, if you can't, you know, if you got to disconnect at a spiritual level, or you have different things, it is what it is. I mean, and I think that what you want to try to do is not to try to convince your partner of one way or the other. That's what it is. And so I just think, you know, listen, this is I don't know how this all plays out. I really don't. I mean, I don't want to, you know, just because we've been doing this 20 years, I don't want to consider ourselves as experts at all, because this is definitely work in progress. But all I can say from our common things is our spiritual alignment was there. We decided to do radical things together so we could both experience them together. And I think that's it. And I think the fact that even, like, you know, don't get complacent in a relationship either. Like, you know, like we strive to really try to be, you know, we strive to be the best for each other, mind, body, spirit, everything. I mean, you know, like we
the day that you stop putting energy into your relationship is the day your relationship will start to die. It's no different than if you have a plant in the house and you don't nurture and love it and water, it's gonna die. That's just the circle of life. So you have to nourish your relationship. You have to cherish your relationship, or it will die. You know, it's funny, I put a post out recently. My mother said something to me, I've never told anybody this ever. And then I don't know why the other day, one day last week, I posted this thought on Facebook. And when my mom, when Jay and I got married, my mom said the most profound thing to me that anyone has ever said to me in my entire life. And she said, never put anyone or anything in front of your husband, number one, or he won't be your husband. And number two, someone else will. And she said, that includes your children. Don't put your children before your spouse. And I was stunned by this because I thought in my world that I was my mother's most important thing. Now my mom and dad were married for 66 years before they both passed. So this was shocking news to me. I said to my mom, I was almost in tears. I said, I'm not the most important thing in your life. She goes, I said, I always thought I was. And she started laughing. She goes, well, I'm really glad we made you feel that way. She's right. Because if you ever put anything before your spouse, it will start to crumble and somebody else will come in and make that person their number one.
So here's another tip too, to keep this spark alive, because it is a spark that needs to obviously maintain, it's a flame, whatever you want to call it, is imagine when you met that person, the passion, the energy. So what happens a lot of times, I see this with people too, and I feel like we're good about this, but I try to just give some insight, is that people start to get like, so for example, if you met someone, if you met a guy, for example, and the guy just was like, very handsome, they wore a nice suit, or they drove whatever they did, don't all of a sudden, that if you're that guy, don't all of a sudden get into a gray pair of sweatpants a month later. You know what I mean? You got to keep that, you know what I mean? And that's what, or same with the people. Listen, if it sounds materialistic, whatever, then that's what it is. I'm just telling you, it is what it is. It's like, we don't make the shit up. I mean, there's, just whatever got you there to begin with, figure out how to stay there. And if that means you look your best, you physically work your best, I think that if you have a spouse, and you see a lot of this where one has a breakthrough and said they want to get healthy, they want to get fit together, they want to look nice together, with the other one's like, they get complacent, they're like, I'm not going to do that. Well, you know what? That's just not going to end well. So don't be surprised. But if you got getting there together, maintaining how you met, because there's something that brought you together. So the challenge is like, something brought us together, us or you or whoever people are. Like, how do you maintain that shit?
Right.
And maintaining it is by keeping that, whatever got you there, it's like almost like your universe is saying, look, we showed you once. Just keep doing it.
Just keep it up.
Keep
Exactly.
it up. Keep it up. I mean, I guess that's the
Exactly.
best. And again, if it feels like that, and people say, oh, it's materialistic, or that's that. Well, it is what, yes, it is. Whatever. It's like, we live in this life. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? You have to look good. I mean, it's like you want to maintain that. I mean, I see people, I saw a couple the other day in their 80s. They were very, very attractive. Just very, just you could tell they were just fighting to keep their essence alive, and they were just wanting to be the best for each other. And that was what was it. You know what I mean? One wasn't frumpy and dumpy, and one wasn't like letting themselves go. They were both doing whatever they could to do that. And I think that's important. I think that a lot of people don't do that. They get it's very easily complacent on it. They get very easily complacent on just like not giving up.
Oh, I know. And that's part of it. Also, being a spiritual person is taking care of your body in terms of what you eat, working out, and just being, again, the best version of yourself that you can be, because you've been given this soul and this, this skin suit. Man, I'm going to really keep the skin suit as good as it possibly can be. All right. I wanted to ask you guys, because I do want to talk a little bit about manifestation, and then you guys are going to do the practice. Does that still feel good? The Just Be practice?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so I would like to talk at least 5 minutes about manifestation, because I really, there was one podcast that I watched with you guys that there is this belief that, in manifesting, I think Jay, you said this too, I'm just going to put a yacht picture on a board. that it is so much more than that. And for me also subconsciously, there's so much that you manifest that you're not aware of. So clearing out and really increasing your vibration. Can y'all talk about your perception of that and creating what you think?
So
This is Jay's favorite subject.
I love it.
There you go.
I do, because I really want to help people with this, because I really believe it's out
Yeah.
there, and it's really a passionate thing for me, not only at a personal level, but to help people to see that it can be done. Number one is you can't stick your pictures on a board and stare at them. They're not going to show up.
Right.
Okay. You have to take action. You have action with the image is going to happen. So you have to start taking action. Education, like reading shit. Okay. Let me research this stuff. That's not manifestation. That is not manifestation. That is blocking your manifestation. That's overcomplicating stuff. You figure it out as you go, is what you do. I see a lot of people, they'll be like, well, I'm going to go manifest. So they buy a ton of books. They read a lot of books, and all they do is they study what they think they want to do. So if they want to be the world's richest banker, they study how, you know what I mean? They don't just do it. You got to go out there and you got to find people. You got to think about it. You got to think about, like, if I want to manifest something, I'm going to find, I know it sounds like a cliche, but this does work. Well, I'm going to find out someone who's doing what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to buy them, we've been able to get involved in a pretty successful distribution business with a biotech company also. And one of the things we did is we went right to the top, and we saw to these people and we're like, what are you doing? Like, tell us what you do. What are your habits? How do you do it? And we sat with them. We met with them every morning at 9 o'clock, right? Every morning at 9 o'clock. And we're like, because they were at the top. They don't need to work, right? They were there. So we met with them every morning. They were gracious enough to sit with us. They really, truly were gracious.
And all y'all did was just ask, hey, can you do this for me? And they said, yes.
Like, we're like, listen, can we do another appointment? What did you do?
And they, it's funny you say that, because they would say to us, why doesn't anyone ask us?
They were like that. They're like, we're shocked. Mm-hmm. And these people do not financially need to work. Mm-hmm. And they were saying, they're like, we don't get why because, it's an organization where different distribution centers. So the people don't. And I think that's what the ego comes into place. It's like, oh, I can do it myself. Listen, we're raised from egos. We're in the banking financial services business. That is ego at the highest level. So when we came into this thing, for us to, all I'm saying is, if we can put the egos on the shelf, anybody can, and we did. We were like, hey, we don't know this stuff, but we're excited about it. Can you tell us what you do? Here's what you do. Can you show up? Can you help us? Manifestation started. We went to the top because of that thing, not because of so much what we did. It's because of the decisions we made to manifest it.
To figure it out ourselves.
That is the worst thing. If you don't know what you don't know.
Want to cut out all of the fat and compress the learning curve, go to someone who's already there.
Right.
Learn from people or a person who's already there. It's funny, when people want to learn about a relationship, but they're talking to an expert who's divorced or not married or still single, and they're telling you what you should be doing in your life. Well, why aren't you doing it in your life? Mm-hmm. And similarly, when people want to learn how to make money or become entrepreneurs, and their coach is not successful, their coach hasn't even made it, how's it going to work for you? Go to a mentor or someone that is already there, that has already made it, that will cut out all of your learning curve and teach you how they did it. Here's
the hardest part about manifestation, believe it or not, is not so much doing what we're talking about, but it is disconnecting from the essence of where you come from. And what I mean by that is this: everybody's got dreams and hopes and aspirations. Number one, you have to learn to admit it, and you have to be very proud when you admit it, that you want it. You don't say, well, money's not the most important thing. You know what? Broke people say that because they don't want to admit it. You know what I mean? Because they don't have it. That's why they say that, because if they had it, they wouldn't say that. Let's be realistic about it. If you're broke and you say shit like that, if you're not, you won't. So it is, and I think if you want to manifest, you have to admit that you want it, and you have to be proud that you want it. Look, money is not the most important thing, and it is not the root of all evil. It's what people do with it. But it is given to us in this universe, just like food and water and clothes are, whatever. It's given to us to survive, so you need it. So, you know, if you're one of those that are like, well, I don't need the money, or I'm just supposed to give back, you know, go, you know, listen,
or God told me I should
no,
be doing
he
it for
didn't.
free.
Go send those thoughts back to hell where they belong.
That's
No,
right. That's
they're
not
not.
from a higher source. I can't tell you how many times we have heard, Spirit has told me I should be giving it all away for free. Spirit told me I shouldn't be charging. Spirit told me that you're not spiritual because you're charging. First of all,
Oh my
that
gosh.
is not coming from God Almighty, if that's what you refer to it, or a higher source, or your higher self, or whatever it is that you want to assimilate to that energy.
Okay, so April, y'all have been criticized, openly criticized, because
So many times. Oh God, yeah.
We're
but
good
many
with it.
times.
But here's another thing to look.
But here's the whole thing. When people are saying they get this information, it is not coming from a high frequency. It's coming from a very low vibrational frequency that you're getting this information from, that you think that you're getting from God. Because no high frequency being will ever say to you, money is evil. Being wealthy, prosperous is not your birthright.
It's the best.
It is your birthright.
It's your birthright, and you can accumulate it.
That creates worlds wants you to live in great abundance. And that does not mean live in great abundance of everything minus money. It means live in great abundance of everything, including money.
Because if you don't have money,
People
you
are
can't
afraid to say the word money.
And you can't do the things without the money. And like when people say stuff like, and I'm just giving some tips for people that really, if they want to have breakthroughs, this is how we help people get breakthroughs. But like people say stuff like money, what you can do with money, you can give back, you can build those charities, you can feed the people, you can take care of your loved ones, you can just live life how it's supposed to live, right? When people say, oh, you're in it for the money, of course you are. You have to say that. Of course you're in it for the money. And I think if anybody says, no, I'm not. And I think the other thing is that you're lying to yourself. And then at any point in time, if you have to defend yourself of why you are charging what you're charging, or why you are making what you're making, you have now given the universe, it's basically an FU is what you've done. So you're gonna just trust me on this, everybody. If you're at a point in your life where you are in an age, or you're in a place in your life where you have to make it, you got children, you got family, you got elderlies, you got people that rely upon you the most, you got to get your shit together, throw that ego out of the thing, forget about what everybody else thinks about you, and you go fast, and you go hard, and you don't give a fuck. Because I'm telling you right now, if you don't do this, you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be like, there's nothing like regrets that'll remind you that you're alive. Trust me. And you will feel that to the essence. So break through while you can, but part of it's admitting it. And if you want to do something really cool in your life, I would recommend, don't get advice from the people that don't want to do something cool in their lives. And they could very well be your best friends, and they could be very well your family. Listen, we all have them. But if they're not energetically wanting to go to the top and boom, then I don't know if I'd get the advice from them, because that's not going to match. It's just not. So why would I say, hey, I want to make $100 million and I want to change the world and I want to feed everybody in every third world? I go to someone that's not their dreams, or they're not on the same vibrational match as me. It just doesn't make sense. And that's what happens. If you think about this, 90% of the people do that. They go to people and they ask them about career decisions, and they don't give a shit about, nor they know anything about it. Go to people that know go to people and say that, get a hold of those people, because those people, I would tell you right now from experience, those people are looking for you, because that's what their essence is. They know people at the top, believe it or not, because we talk to enough of them, and they're very humble. They give to the world. They do everything they can. They're looking for you. And like you said, they're shocked that people don't come to them and be like, we got the answers. I don't know why anybody doesn't come to us. over and over again. They were like, we got the answers, but people don't come to us. They think we're all of a sudden, because we got money, we're bad people. It's not like that.
Right, or we're intangible.
Intangible, exactly.
Anyway, that's my passion.
Just be
My
practice.
version of meditating is running, sitting on the beach, just chilling, just feeling like I am connecting with my source. So that comes from a lot of different ways. It's not necessarily like sitting in a lotus position, right? So for me, how do I do that? Well, the first thing I do in the morning is be grateful I'm alive. Gratitude is probably one of the strongest emotions and one of the best emotions and the best ways to start your day, but also to create anything that you want to manifest. You have to be grateful and thankful for what you have now, not obsessed for what you don't have, because that's just going to absolutely backfire your whole manifestation. So you have to be grateful for what you have now, even if you feel like you don't have anything. Find something that you do have that you're grateful for, whether it's your cat, your dog, the roof over your house, your eyes, your legs, or your legs weren't working. Be grateful for that. Find something. So my first thing is to be grateful. And then I can't say that this is a form of meditation, but this is what we do to create and to manifest. Do little things in your life every single solitary day that make you feel happy. That's all you have to do. Every day, just incorporate something into your life that puts a smile on your face and brings joy into your life. And similarly, start letting go of one thing a day that does not bring you joy. And when you start to make these tiny little shifts every single solitary day, add one thing that makes you feel happy, take away something that is not bringing you joy. By the end of that week, you're going to see and feel a massive transformation in your life. And then you're going to be like, you know what? This is a lot easier than what I've been told. Because I've been told a whole line of garbage and a lot of stuff that hasn't been working. If you just start making those two tiny little shifts, I promise you, you're going to, at the end of the week, feel so much lighter. And this is how you start to raise your frequency. And this is how you start to create the life of your dreams.
Okay. So simple, have gratitude in your day, whatever that not needs to be, whatever that is, like the roof over your head, even if you have to find something small to start with, then every day, to sum this up, bring something joy into your life. So something that makes you happy, and then work on getting rid of one thing that isn't serving you as well. All right. Simple, right?
Simple, Simon. Don't complicate it. Keep it simple.
Yes. All right. Anything else you guys want to say before we close out? This was wonderful. Thank you for your time.
Likewise.
And it's, you know what, and I want to just,
it's so therapeutic for us.
I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say the exact same thing. So just for people watching, listening, if you're a couple and want to do things, what we went through therapy with you. So that was a total therapeutic experience. You know what I mean? So I can't stress enough how that is like our gratitude. I'm like, I do too. I do feel great. Wait, but I want to just like this is like, you got to talk it out. You got to vibrate it out, right? So you vibrate it out. So I think that this was just as an example. I mean, I think if people are trying to figure stuff out, I mean, consider doing a show, consider doing something like this, maybe not the lab or whatever, but get on a Zoom and start talking it out together, because we've been doing this for years, and a lot of it, and even just now, we both are like, this just feels really great. Like, I feel like whatever any energy or is there is like, it's not all done. All good. Let's go. Let's conquer the world now.
Okay. Wow. I think that's a perfect ending. Thank you guys so much. Can y'all hang out with me just for 1 second to say an official goodbye? Hey, thank you, April and Jay. Yay. All right. See y'all. Hear y'all later. Bye.
Much love.
So cool of you to be here. I went from being off most social media to being on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or True Social, and you might be watching this on YouTube, Rumble, or BitChute. Or you might be listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I'm on over 19 directories at this point. So connect, comment, subscribe, like. Oh, and my intention is to have a new episode out Wednesday of each week. Oh, Lordy, more to come.